Hello and welcome to Predictocast, a very spooky podcast where we predict a movie's spooky storyline after watching only the first 10 spooky minutes and knowing nothing else about it. I'm Josh Goblin, your spooky co-host, and with me is your other co-host, Spooky Skeletal Skinner.
I have no skin. It's ironic considering my name.
That is very true. So we are on our last week of the spooky month, the spookiest month, the Halloween season. It's wrapping up.
Oh, they're all spooky to a degree.
That is true. Scary things can happen at any day without warning. So we are this week on the show covering Without Warning. We are keeping our love of Greydon Clark going. We had such a good time with Uninvited a couple of weeks ago, as we mentioned on the mini episode last week, that we decided to see what else he had out there in the horror genre. And that landed us on Without Warning. And boy, oh boy, it gets off to I think a pretty decent start.
Like, it's not a banger of a start, but it's a start. What makes you interested in what's going on?
Yes, for sure.
You say a spooky movie, horror movies, and this appears to be a horror movie, a thriller, a spook 'em up, but it looks to be aliens from the poster and from these little flying
hair discs, hair frisbees,
these little things that come along on lines of string. Do you find aliens spooky or scary? Have you ever been scared about aliens?
Okay, so there was one of those like syndicated alien autopsy like shows, but it wasn't an alien autopsy show, it was an alien abduction show. And it was like told partially through reenactments plus some footage that they had. And I remember very distinctly getting kind of freaked out by there was a scene in it where the person said they heard something. They lived on a farm and they heard something and they went out to look for it because they saw this bright light, and they crept over this hill and they have this shot. And it, in retrospect, it probably is super goofy. I've never seen it again, so it's probably terrible. But it was a shot of these two like little gray aliens, and they were shooting a cow with a laser. And I know that describing it makes it sound completely ridiculous, and probably it was, but for whatever reason, that instilled in me the craziest fear that, like, oh man, that's real, and I'm very scared.
I think the only time, God, that movie scared me with aliens, when I was really young watching the first Predator.
Yes.
I was afraid of the Predator. I thought, because he seemed unstoppable. So that was less about him being an alien than him just being a unstoppable force against the protagonist. But like in most movies, if something spooky is going on or something scary, and then they find out, oh, it's aliens, that's like a relief of tension to me for some reason.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
At that point, like, oh, it's not a scary movie because it's aliens, so it's goofy.
So it's funny, a couple things. It's funny that you mentioned Predator, because apparently the guy who plays the alien in this movie is Kevin Peter Hall, who played the Predator in Predator 1 and 2.
We're making an assumption there because we saw his name in the credits, and there appears to be on the cover of the poster, not the backside of the poster, there appears to be a giant alien. So we're like, oh, that's probably the Predator guy. And also, like, there's these little discs thrown at people's faces, which reminds me of the Predator. This would have predated the Predator, though, by quite a bit.
It did, by 7 years. Kevin Peter Hall also played Harry in Harry and the Hendersons.
Another scary movie.
I mean, I think that I was going to say that, like, Alien is clearly a scary alien movie, but it's different than what this appears to be. Because, like, Alien, you'll see it, a lot of people say, like, oh, it's like a haunted house movie that just happens to be in space, and the monster in the house is an alien. But, like, that's a little different than, because that's them in sort of the territory of the alien, as opposed to the alien coming to Earth and being scary. And like that happens in some of those later Alien versus Predator movies, but those are more like action-y kind of sci-fi horror and not straight up like scary horror. Like, oh, there's this weird alien that's around and it's going to get you kind of thing.
I think in the later movies, once you have a established thing that people want to see, which is the aliens or the predators, you're less like afraid of your protagonists getting caught by what turns out to be there's these crazy, scary powers that the bad aliens have. Instead, you're looking forward to them using them against faceless protagonists that you don't actually care about.
Yeah, exactly. I will say that it's not perfect, but I will say that I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you've probably never seen any of the VHS horror anthologies.
Of course not. Why would I have ever done that?
Well, in the first VHS, there is a segment about a group of kids who are at home, and they have there is an alien encounter, and it's not the best thing in the world, but I thought it was pretty effective. It has some effective moments, and they do some really good, because it's found footage. They play around with what you can see and what you can't, and things appearing in the background of shots that the characters don't see. And I think they do a pretty effective job, and it's relatively short, so it kind of packs in the scares in a pretty tight little time frame that I think works for the most part. So that is kind of a scary alien, I would say.
That's good. And I can see where that would work in a lot of the ones. Just a lot of the times when it's like supposed to be like a being hunted by a mysterious thing movie, because when they reveal that it is an alien, it's usually goofy looking alien, and that just kind of just like the valve is off, and you're like, oh, okay, it's just a fucking alien. So
yeah,
that's a little different than like a well constructed alien invasion type thing.
I get that. Before we get into what is happening in this movie, I just have to say, so we already mentioned it's directed by Greydon Clark. We kind of went through his filmography. This movie has as its cinematographer Dean Cundy, who is an insane cinematographer and has an insane resume. Like, it is crazy that this guy shot this movie. This had to be one of his first movies, I would imagine. It's not exactly his first. He actually worked quite a bit in the 70s. But he was, so I'm just going to go through a few of the things that he was the cinematographer on. Halloween, the original, The Fog, Escape from New York, Halloween 2, The Thing, Halloween 3, Back to the Future.
Like Halloween 3, Back to the Future.
Oh, man, if only. Marty, we've got to get back to the Silver Shamrock Factory. He did Back to the Future 2 and 3, Jurassic Park, Apollo 13, the Flintstones movie, Hook, Death Becomes Her, Casper, Looney Tunes Back in Action, the Garfield movie.
I mean, there's some ups and downs here.
There are some ups and downs. But like, it's still this guy has been involved in some incredible movies that are probably very important to you if you grew up around the same time that we did watching films as kids. So the fact that he is involved in this kind of gives me hope that it might at least be like a well shot movie. Like, maybe they didn't have a big budget.
It's not, though.
Well, I would argue that it actually is better than we could be getting than what we have seen from other movies. This definitely looks better than Uninvited. The filmmaking is better than Uninvited, because you're getting shots where I noticed it in particular when the two girls run up to the bathroom and the camera is back, and as they get closer, the camera moves with them, and it moves in between a tree. So there's this like tree there with these split branches, and the camera goes around the branch to get them in the shot. Like, there's movement happening. Like, we see the camera move. We see like when Cameron Mitchell is pointing at his son with that gun, like the way that shot, like I think that it's better than than some of Greydon Clark's other movies, and probably better than it should be for as probably as cheap as it was made.
Yeah, I suppose I'm blaming him for the decision to film the first part in the brightest daylight.
Okay, so that's probably not his fault, but yeah, I agree with you. So let's talk about what we see in these first 10 minutes of Without Warning. It begins with a very lackluster credit sequence.
I mean, one of the worst credit sequences I've ever seen. One of the worst title cards, as far as like, it might as well be yawning while it says it. It's literally the name of the movie is in the center of the screen, the same font as the name of the actors.
Yeah,
which is really weird.
It looks like the font that you would use on like an educational film that you'd have to watch in driving school or something that came out in the 70s. Yeah, it's so basic.
It's so basic, and like it screams like it's a TV movie, which I don't think it is.
No, I don't think so.
Certain on that.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think it says it's rated R, so I don't think that it's a TV movie.
So it's an odd choice. I mean, 1980 was a different time. Credits had not reached the artistic point that it had later.
That's true.
I don't know. It just seems so like it's just like a wet fart coming at you right from the start. And like, as like you're looking at these beautiful babbling brooks and like this forest, and it's just this, like you said, it looks like a nature documentary. And maybe that's your idea, is like, we'll pretend it's a nature documentary and then it's a horror thriller, but like, you know what you came to. Like, you're not surprised. Like, I know some people will go to every movie and then like somehow don't know what movie they're at, so they're shocked and it has a turn.
Yeah.
But I think you would have saw the poster. It has an alien.
Yeah, if you see this poster and you're like, oh, okay, I think I know what's going on there. Like, and why not use the fucking title treatment on the poster as your title treatment for your thing? Like, there's even a perfect break in the movie where they could put the title really big on the screen and make it like scary, and they just don't do it.
And then, like, with the name, Without Warning, it would have fit at that moment because something had just happened without warning.
Yes. Like, I'm not like the recent trend in filmmaking seems to be, and it's just kind of bolstered on by a lot of the Marvel movies too, of not putting a fucking title at the beginning of your movie. I kind of hate that. Like, I want to see the title of the movie at the beginning of the movie. Like, it's okay if you want to do it again at the end for whatever reason, that's fine. But like, give me a title card. Even if you don't have credits, give me a title card somewhere. Give me something that like punctuates it and lets me know that I am into this story. But when it just starts and there's nothing, I fucking hate that. So I'm glad that there's credits. I just wish they had like jazzed it up just a little bit.
I mean, you don't want to break the fantastic realism of the Marvel extended universe.
Yeah, but like they could have had a perfect spot to put a really, like, even if they use the same font, but they just made it bigger. Like, do something that lets me know that's the title.
It's so small on the screen. Like,
it's not even like, centered. It's like they're the bottom third of the screen.
And it's like, Without Warning. like, wow, like, you don't seem excited about this picture. Let me pretend you are, so I can buy in.
Yeah,
that you're excited to present to me this movie without warning.
Be over the top with it. Give me a big, like, the big title on the screen, a big organ sting, something that like lets me know that we're in it.
One of two things in this movie where the presentation seems off for what is happening.
Yes. So we get the credits. We're sort of seeing from a POV of someone walking through some tall brush and around a creek and everything. And we think, oh, maybe this is an alien. No, if it's not an alien, well, I mean, it's hard to say. It's Cameron Mitchell, who, I don't know, depending on how you feel about him, he could be sort of alien-like. He is dressed up in hunting attire, even though it looks like it's fucking noon outside. It's so bright.
Like, even the person he's hunting with will point out very soon, like, why are we hunting? It's broad daylight. aren't all the animals gone?
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then like nothing about this scene besides it being without warning, besides it being more affordable, makes you think they should have shot this during the day. Like everything that they're trying to accomplish, story wise and mood wise, would have been more effective if it hadn't been high noon. I mean, it's so there's no clouds in the sky. It is painfully bright. It like makes everything look a little shittier because it's a very barren.
Just imagine
area.
if they had shot this at like 5 a.m, like what they would have gotten.
Yeah, like you would have had a mood created for you, as opposed to like I couldn't even tell this was trying to be comedy at times with this, but like everything that this guy does would have been heightened if it was dark.
Yeah, it would have made it a little bit scarier. Like there would have been just something a little bit more where you've been like, okay, I don't really know what's going on yet. I don't know who these people are, but something seems off. And
yeah, like when he does a thing later, like you could say like, oh, he's doing it in the dark and the other character wouldn't have noticed, and that makes it that much more.
They're not that far away
like,
when he
sinister.
points that gun at him. So
yes.
Okay, so yeah, he's a hunter. He goes to a Winnebago, and he knocks on the door and tells the person inside, who we'll learn is his son, to come on out and get ready so they can go hunting. And we're like, oh, okay, maybe this is like one of the teens that we think is going to be in the movie. No, this guy is like, what, 40 years old?
Like, it's presented like this guy, like, oh, I can't get out of the bed. I'm so tired. Go without me. He's like, no, get out of here. Come be a real man. And I think, oh, it's this gruff old dad who wants to toughen up his young teenage boy about the ways of being a man. And out steps a middle-aged porn star.
Yeah.
Like this man with a full mustache who's ripped to shreds. He's just so buff. He looks absolutely, there's no way on Earth, maybe on whatever alien planet this alien's can come from, but there's no way on our Earth this man is this man's son.
And that this guy is seen as, to quote the movie, a sissy.
I was trying to figure out if it literally was of dad trying to straighten out his son.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's hard to say. Like
nothing besides him calling us sissy, which that is
that's
one of the
very
words
loaded
they would use then.
At this point in time, for sure.
But like they never explicitly say that he's doing that.
No, but it seems.
But like
clear.
he's an older man, and he's just. But like he's got a Hawaiian shirt on to make sure that we know he's very different from his dad. So he's flamboyant. He's got no shirt underneath it. He is so buff. I guess we're supposed to. I don't know if we're supposed to think like his dad's being too tough on him, or he's supposed to like we're supposed to like, why is this guy being such a wastrel? He seems like a nice guy. Like he's like, why are we shooting things? That seems stupid. Why would he shoot small animals? Yeah. Why are we hunting in the middle of the day?
He seems concerned about the environment.
He's like, this water scene's bad. Like he doesn't seem like he's like this lazy teen, whatever, lazy
40-year-old
city, his large adult son who's like just like, oh, he just stays inside all day. He's a wastrel. He's wasting his life. He's lazy. He just seems like, you know what? Hunting is kind of stupid, which like I don't understand as someone who from a city who does not hunt and does not get it. Like, I don't understand why taking a gun to deer and shit is like the height of masculinity. It makes if you take away like whatever culture is around that, it makes no sense. None at all.
And judging from how Cameron Mitchell is acting of like wanting to like alpha up his son, if this were made today, he would probably be wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He'd be a fucking boogaloo boy.
He also like he's trying to talk about his son. His son is very strong looking. Could probably beat the shit out of him.
Probably. I mean, it's fucking Cameron Mitchell. I mean, if you're familiar with this guy at all, he could not stand up to this kid. But he tells his son to load up a gun. his son does bring up the fact that the water tastes weird and it smells funny. And he says he wonders if it's like a chemical plant that's dumped something or some like runoff or something. So I'm wondering if the alien has done something to the water.
I think so. It does give the great line of like, here's his dad saying, "Nothing wrong with the water. There's something wrong with you."
Yeah.
Because his dad's very angry the entire time. Like, they give a lot of time for this fodder people. And we don't know for sure if they'll be back in any particular way, considering what happens. But like he rants and raves and yells. And yells and bangs his gun against the side of things for most of the 10 minutes, which is a shocking percentage of the movie if you think about it.
Yeah, he is the, I mean, as I kind of mentioned, it could be Jack Palance in last week's mini episode. Cameron Mitchell is the Drew Barrymore. Like, he's possibly someone people might have recognized because he was in a lot of movies, and he gets killed off pretty quickly. And but they set him up as a character. They give him all this stuff. They give him this conflict with his son, and set up all these things, and then they kill him off. They make you care about their relationship, and then he's dead.
I don't care about the relationship, but he is dead.
Yeah, so they're wandering around, and the son doesn't really want to hunt because, again, he says it's really bright outside. What are we doing? And the dad says, "Well, I'm gonna get me some game one way or the other." I don't know what that means, but he stalks off by himself, and the son pulls out the shells from the gun and he throws them on the ground, which will cost him his life later. And I wonder if the movie is trying to say something about that. I doubt it is, but is it if he had just kept the shells in the gun, he might have survived? And so therefore his dad was right. He needed to know how to shoot a gun and be comfortable with it because it would have saved him.
I was trying to figure that out as well. You can't tell what the politics of a 1980s movie would be. It's too hard looking back with 40-year-old eyes, honestly, as someone who's older than 40, even. But it did come up, he got his comeuppance because this.
Yeah.
What did he really do to deserve comeuppance?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little flimsy, but I wonder if the movie is trying to make some sort of point or statement about it. But anyway, he dumps out the shells. He sits on a rock and he's kind of forlorn about the whole thing because obviously his, relationship with his dad is not good, and they sort of have a bit of a sour spot. And while he's doing this, his dad is off in the bush pointing a gun at him.
Yeah, there's no subtlety about it. He's considering
insane.
killing his son for being a sissy.
I was blown away by that.
Which goes to more yes, this is what it seems to be. He's trying to straighten out his son.
Yeah, it's a little wild that he's he does it, then he, considers it again, and then
he dies.
Yeah,
but which would be his comeuppance, except for his son also gets comeuppance.
Yeah, it's oh, you did this, you considered murdering your son for some weird reason, and you die because of it. And your son dumped out his shells on the ground, so he died. But maybe it's saying that he littered, and so therefore he died because of that.
So what did kill them,
well,
Josh?
It looks like it's like a frisbee or a pile of, it's like a tiny little mini pie tin that has a flap of skin and hair on top of it. It's very bizarre. It looks like a tiny UFO that has been covered in skin.
It's like a if someone made a shitty sea star.
Yeah.
A starfish.
It is kind of like
but it
that.
doesn't quite look exactly like that. But it's kind of like that. It has definite points of arms
Yeah.
on each side. It's a starro if you're a comic fan, and I don't even know that character that well, but I think they're flying little fish things that suck your brains.
Yeah, that is kind of what this is, because it flies out and suctions onto his neck, and these little tendrils come out of it and stab into his flesh. And then another one comes out and hits him on the back. We get some good close-up gore of these weird tendrils going into a fake neck and makeup and stuff, and it's bleeding, and he looks freaked out, and he stumbles over to his son, and he's like, "Oh, help me, help me, help me." And then another one flies out of the woods and goes right for the son, who tries to shoot it, but again, he doesn't have those shells, so it gets him too. It goes right towards him, and we cut to black. So maybe the son isn't dead.
If they are mind controlled, they can be back, but we don't know for sure that he's
But maybe
dead.
he avoided getting hit by it. Maybe he'll show up again later and be like, "Oh, this thing attacked my dad," and he helps our heroes.
Yeah, he could be the one who could say like, "Hey, I'm gonna explain the plot to you characters who show up later,
And then I'll get killed."
And then he'll get killed
and be
still.
joined with his dad in the afterlife.
And once again, like the pointing the gun scene would have been better in a lower light, because then it'd be more subtle between them. And also, these stars flying out of the woods, if you were coming out of dark woods, also look better.
Yeah.
And also, you wouldn't notice the strings that are coming along. So they're just you can literally see the string that they're kind of just traveling along as they go down. And it's like, if you just didn't do this in the bright of the sun, like on the solar solstice, it is the brightest day I've ever seen, and I live in the fucking Midwest where the sun is always out and there's too much sky.
So we cut away from that. We cut to black. Perfect place to put the title card if they thought about it for half a second. And we end up with these two women. I don't know their names. I think it's Sandy and Beth, but
it usually is. In these
but I'm not positive. And they're talking. They're going to go on a trip with one of their boyfriends. I don't know who, and then a friend of his. Again, I don't know who. I was not paying attention to their names. Sorry. But we do know that one of the guys is named Tom, because he is played by David Caruso very early on in his career.
So far before he ever did Jade.
Way before that. In fact, this is his second film. He is in another movie in 1980 called Getting Wasted. Who likes to get wasted? And a TV show right before that. So this is very early in his career, which probably means he dies very soon.
I would imagine he's not really highly billed on those really boring title cards.
He's not.
He's one of the ands. He sticks out.
Yes.
He's got screen presence because once again, this is shot in his worst light, which is the bright of the fucking day.
Yeah, he's like a fucking pale, redheaded monster.
He's got his shirt open and he's got short shorts on, like just below the cheeks, and he's got so much pale skin showing, and he's the cool guy of the two.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. He is paper white, and he is seen as like the really cool dude who is bringing his friends to introduce to this woman.
A deep voice will get you very far. If I had a deep voice, if I didn't have a short guy voice, this podcast would be doing thousands of times more downloads a month.
But yeah, so they all get together and get into this bright yellow van, the same yellow as the credits, I think.
I think so. It looks like a DHL van that they wiped off the branding on.
Yeah, they hop into this van and they head off to a fun weekend away. Who knows what they're doing, but they're all going to go hang out, probably get wasted and, do their thing.
Yes, do their thing. Each other's things. Do them.
Probably. And they stop right before the end of our 10 minutes here at a gas station, Taylor Gas, and it's closed down. It's empty. I wonder if we're going to find out that Cameron Mitchell is the guy who runs the gas station.
If he goes and does anything, there's no gas in town.
But it's shut down, so they don't know what they're going to do. The women walk off to go to the bathroom. The women's room is locked. They tried the men's room, but it also seems locked. except for when one of the girls just backs into the door slowly and it falls open.
Yeah, I mean, what changed? Oh, I mean, the guy inside unlocked it. but still.
Sure. So she comes in and she's looking around the bathroom, and on the wall, right as she walks in, is someone has scrawled the words amongst a bunch of other graffiti, but this is big, so it sort of stands out. It says, "No hope, no chance, no escape,
No
Yeah.
escape.
And
You can't see me. Hustle, loyalty, respect.
so that creates a kind of a creepy vibe, and you're like, oh, that's weird. And if that weren't enough, out walks Martin Landau.
There's nothing creepier than Martin Landau sharing a bathroom with you.
And he looks wild. He's got crazy hair, and he just looks like a lunatic. And he's like, oh,
He looks like he's too tall for the bathroom.
Yes.
Like he has to crouch
he's
in
like
it.
slumped over, and he's like, oh, what are you doing in here? It's the men's room. And she's like, oh, well, my friend needed to use the bathroom. And then he notices the sign, or the writing on the wall as well. And then that's where our 10 minutes ends. But I mean, is he gonna be like a creep? Is he gonna like like attack this woman? Is he gonna be like a nut job who's like, you gotta stay away from here, there's murder in here, because he knows about the alien?
Like, what if it has nothing to do with the alien? Like, if aliens were attacking people in the woods, like, would you take the time to write a screed about it in the gas station bathroom in town?
Yeah, that's a
like
good point.
It's not a bathroom. It doesn't look like a bathroom in the middle of nowhere, because there's other buildings you can see when they stop at this gas station.
It just looks like this gas station is just shut down for some reason.
Right.
And maybe the alien came in and he took all their gas.
Maybe one town is dead except for Martin Landau, who's hunched over in this bathroom, and he wrote that thing. Or maybe much like that bomb thread at Home Depot, like someone just like wrote that out. Like there's no hope, no escape, because I'm gonna take the largest shit.
I'm gonna blow up this bathroom.
Oh, it is gonna happen. Next door, we don't see it, is a Taco Bell.
So I mean, I feel like maybe the hunter's son is still alive, because we don't see him die. I don't think we do. I think it just goes right at him and then it goes black. So I bet he's alive still, and he's gonna hook up with our team, our kids, not our team, our teen team. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say David Caruso is gonna die pretty quickly. Because why not?
Yeah, I mean, like, he's an easy target. Literally, he
stands
you can
out.
see him coming.
Even in the dark of night, you'd be able to see him.
Oh, if there was a moon out, there'd be two moons out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we haven't seen Jack Palance yet, which makes me think that maybe he's in the movie for longer than I suspected.
Even though he's been in, there's 10 minutes. There's specifically 10 minutes that he's not in.
Well, what I'm saying is they don't get him in and get him out quickly. Like, they could have had him play the Cameron Mitchell part if they wanted to kill him off.
He would definitely like to yell at somebody while holding a gun.
That is true. He made his career out of it. So I think maybe he does show up later. Maybe he has an encounter with the alien, and I mean, I'm sure the alien will kill him, but maybe he has an exciting encounter.
I bet you if the alien does kill him, that the one in the little disc will fly at him, and then we'll see it, and then it'll cut away, because there's no way he's letting them do that alien makeup on his face.
That he's letting him put that weird furry.
Once again, be like, so the little furry disc will land on you, and then the little tendril, like, no, it won't.
Can't you just cut away and everybody will believe it in their minds?
It's called the imagination, boys.
All right. So, I mean, there's not much to predict with this other than there's an alien that's going to stalk these kids, and I'm going to guess that, and I don't remember her name yet, but we'll figure it out, I'm sure, in part 2, that the girl who's talking to Martin Landau might be our final girl, unless he pulls like a weird uninvited thing and introduces our main characters halfway through the movie.
Like, just have them like walk in the screen, like have a bunch of characters that you've introduced that seem like they're the main characters, and then walk in the room like, oh, and someone goes like, yeah, these people are here too. And it turns out those are the main characters.
What if Martin Landau's the main character?
What if the toilet is the main character?
What if the main character is the person who wrote that message on the bathroom wall?
I hope that's never explained why it's in the bathroom wall of a toilet room.
I think you're right. Toilet room. I think you're right, though. I think it is just like, oh man, I took a big shit in here. Let me warn people.
Like, literally, there's almost nothing you can write on a wall in a bathroom at a gas station. Like, there's a lot of, like, naughty things or just joke things. But, like, anything you would write at a screed that's to warn anyone of, like, an eldritch terror, a murderer nearby, of ancient evil, of a haunting or anything. That if you thought about it, if it's written on the wall of a gas station bathroom, I wouldn't take it as someone wrote about like how bad a shit they took. Like, there's nothing you could write. You could write the Holy Bible in there. I'm like, that's a lot of words about how bad this guy had shit is gonna smell.
Well, sometimes those really powerful, awful shits come upon you without warning. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review us over at Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at predictocast, and you can find our entire back catalog at predictocast.com. Our theme music is by Kyle Sledge. Find more of his work at soundcloud.com/geistmusic. To get monthly bonus content, sign up at patreon.com/predictocast. As always, thanks for listening. So yeah, that's it. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about the rest of Without Warning. I'm Josh. You know me.
Yeah, I'm in Skinner. Like, abandon all hope. You enter here and smell my shit.